All right, welcome to the Marriage Boss Podcast. And we've got a return couple to the show today. Got Rachel Alcyone, and she's a sought-after expert in health, sexuality, and relationships. And she is known for her larger-than-life personality, lovingly supportive demeanor, impeccable style, ability to create transformational beauty in all she comes in contact with, and her unwavering dedication to healing. And Daniel Alcyone is an in-demand artist, performer, yoga instructor, podcaster, and community organizer. He brings a unique approach and sense of humor to all his projects and is constantly working as an intuitive innovator and cultural creative for the advancement of individuals and the evolution of society. Together, they love working with couples, teaching them to enliven their sexuality and spirituality by learning to communicate deeply and keep the playfulness and romance alive in their partnerships. They work with VIP private clients, lead seminars, workshops, and retreats around the world, teaching people how to achieve and maintain the relationship of their dreams. I love these two. You guys, welcome to the Marriage Boss Podcast.
Welcome, Rick. Good to be back.
I know that there's been a lot of stuff going on since we last spoke. I know you had something great that happened on Monday. You had a couple retreats since you were on the show last, and I was so excited when you reached out and said that you wanted to come back on and kind of take it to another level, because I think that sometimes we leave the audience feeling a little bit hungry when I have people like you on, and they want to know what's going on, when you leave the show. What did you do 6 months later? So why don't you guys update us a little bit on what's burning in your world right now, and then we'll jump into a hot topic today.
Well, I think maybe first off is when we were on the show last time, we were just setting up and getting ready for our first Essence of Ecstasy couples retreat.
Mm-hmm. That happened in Key West, Florida.
And it was really successful and awesome. It was at the Real World Mansion in Key West. Wow. So this property was unbelievable. And we brought about some really big transformation in these couples. Mm-hmm. We had a big assortment of people come, all ages, from very young couples in their early mid-20s.
Right, like young high school sweethearts, new parents. Yeah.
Right, all the way up to people that have been together
in their
for
60s and
20 or 30 years.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow, that is awesome. So you got a good cross-section.
Yeah.
Yeah, on site, all the custom catering. It was a real phenomenal event. It was really successful.
We snorkeled the third largest barrier reef in the world. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Well, I got to see some of the pictures. I got to see some of the comments and testimonials, and it just sounds like a great event. So, hopefully you'll be doing more of those and give our people an opportunity to really come together and connect through you guys, because I think you guys are brilliant teachers, and I just love your style. I like your connection. I like your energy. I just can't get enough of you myself. So I hope that more people will experience you. And as I was saying in the, our pre-show comments, I think you guys need more exposure. I think more people need to know about you. I like your ideas. I just like the way you love, and I like the way you give. And I think more people like you need to be, more well known. So if I can help do that, I want to help it.
Well, I like all that stuff too. I like the way we love, and I like the way we share. And actually, I love that you mentioned, wanting more people to come to an event like that. And we actually have one coming up in April.
Yeah.
And this time we're going to be in the vortex of Sedona at one of the most luxurious resorts in the country.
Cool. It is really top notch, man. I've never been to a place like this before. It's an enchantment resort and spa, and it's just 5-star all the way through.
Nice.
They drive you around in golf carts, and the energy there is so palpable. It's like everything's popping and alive.
Right. So literally, you just give a call. You say, I'd like a transport to the spa. They come pick you up and drop you off, and
that's hot.
You really feel pampered.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Good. So you're up leveling that, and if people want this, 5-star experience in addition to some great information, I mean, listen, it's a vacation. And it's a transformational educational experience.
Yeah, we love giving couples the opportunity to go really deep and learn some tips and tricks and techniques that really, really work, and then also have the spaciousness to just relax and be lovers. I think that that's part of what gets in the way of couples coming together, is that, like, they have kids and they have work and they have whatever. There's like distractions around every corner, and so to just take, 4 days out of your life and like be lovers and like sleep in and luxuriate in in the beauty and richness of the relationship and have the space to do that is really important.
Yeah, to just invest in your romance outside of your day-to-day grind, to get outside of your regular world and just focus on each other, focus on your love for a few days. It's really great.
I was on a
and we'll
conversation.
Tell you more.
Oh yeah, I do want to hear more before the end of the show. I want to make sure you get a good plug in on that. I was on a call yesterday where I was talking to someone and we both agreed life gets in the way of living. And so we have to make provisions. We have to be more intelligent and make better decisions about how we're going to thwart that, because that resistance is constantly on us. And we need to, I know I do it in my life. I want to experience my wife and my family, and I want to experience people like you 100% of the time. So anything that gets in the way of that, I'm constantly moving it aside.
Yeah, we've really, on the last show, we talked about the big leap that we took for love, which was buying a boat and living on it. And so over the last couple of years, we've really embraced this walk of minimalism. And so that means, cutting out all the excess, like you said. It's like, I don't have time to spend with people that aren't 100% nourishing.
Totally. Yep.
Purchases that aren't 100% nourishing. So
or like entertainment, we call it entertainment that doesn't actually nourish your soul. Why am I going to sit and waste 2 hours of my life watching a movie that gave me nothing?
Right.
Yeah, and the people. I was just on a call, an accountability call actually, with a partner, and we are both helping each other reach some new goals. And we both broke it down to the people are pretty much the secret ingredient in any of this. So if you can get around people who support and nourish your existence, and then get rid of the ones who don't, and of course all the stuff is unimportant, that to me is true riches. Like when I'm on a conversation with you guys or looking at what you're writing or watching a video from you, that's nourishing to me. Like that's wealth to me. When I get your information and your energy and I put it in my life, bring it to my wife and kids, my people, that's gold. So let's jump right in. Yeah.
And people in your life, they'll either nourish you, like you say, or they'll deplete you.
Yeah.
And you got to be real conscious about making these choices about not casting your pearls among swine and spending your valuable time with somebody that doesn't appreciate it and actually depletes from your energy.
Yep. So this leads us right into our topic today.
Awesome.
We were going to talk about how your relationship can actually support your personal freedom so you both thrive. And I want to hear your ideas on that.
Yeah. That's a really good one. This actually came up recently for Rachel.
Mm-hmm. In a really big way. I was speaking with a group of women actually, and one woman was bringing this super vulnerable chair to the table and saying that when she is in relationship, she actually feels quite stifled, and the most free she ever feels is when she is single and out of partnership. And it got me thinking, and I thought, wow, this partnership is the hands down the most free I've ever felt in my entire life. I've been in stifling relationships and I've also been single and felt that freedom, but I have never until now had the perfect balance of support, because we need support and able to thrive, and also the freedom to do whatever I wanted to do. And one of the women reflected back to me. I said, this is what I want. I want this kind of relationship for everyone. And she said, I want that for myself, and I want that for everyone too. And
she was actually the mentor of the group too.
Yeah, and she said, you and Daniel both need a ton of freedom, and so it's really incredible that you've mastered how to be really expansive and really free and still be in partnership and get all your needs met. And so, yeah, I really do. I want that for everyone. It's totally possible.
So what was the outcome with this young lady who, if you want to add on to that? So what was said after that?
Yeah, she was like, tears were welling up, and she's like, wow, I had no idea that was even possible. I thought relationship was like, you losing a part of yourself and only being there for them, and having it be sort of this constant like tug of war for whose needs get met at any given moment. or you're single and you're free. And so she just was like mind being blown and heart expanded through hearing that was possible, and gave her a whole new outlook of attainability.
Wow.
Yeah, and I could actually echo something very similar. I as well feel more supported and free to be myself in this partnership and in this relationship than I ever have alone. Because not only do I get ultimate support of anything I bring to the table, like, hey, I want to check out this new spiritual training program. I want to like get into this activity or that interest. And not only do I have her support, but then I have this positive feedback loop, this positive affirmation of I'm actually good at it and I can do it. Instead of just on your own. At best, in previous relationships, at best, I would maybe get if that's what you want to do, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, okay, do what you want to do.
Boy.
But here I actually have a side by. I have a real partner, but yet I know that it's wide open. I don't have to like base my decisions or like feel this limiting idea because I have a wife. And I think there's this whole thing in our society. We're very much trained and told that relationship is compromise. We get this big word compromise. Oh, every relationship's a bunch of compromise. Anytime you have a compromise, somebody feels like they're getting the less end of the stick.
Not giving up something.
Yeah,
and instead there can be like a redefining of what you're doing and a finding of something that suits both people.
Yeah, and I think if we can look at these things as win-win,
Totally.
When I feel supported, how does that make my wife feel? Does she feel like she's winning if I'm doing the thing that I'm passionate about? And the same goes for her. So yeah, we have to flip that compromise where it's like somebody has to lose to a win-win where, your victory is his victory, your victory is her victory. So how is this something we can learn? Is this something you guys can teach people how to live this life and thrive like this?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's taking part of it is taking the scarcity, because I think that people get into relationships and feel like maybe there's not enough, there's not enough for them, there's not enough out there, there's not enough resources, not enough time. And then also taking the sacrifice and the martyrdom out of relationships. Mm-hmm. Like, there's nothing sexy about that. Like the housewife that's like slaving over the dishes and using that kind of languaging.
Yeah.
There's nothing sexy about that.
Well,
so
this event I went to, my buddy Armand, he spoke about something called the order of operations. And during his relationship segment, he said, the order of operations in any life is you are first, your spouse is second, your kids are third. Forget the viewpoint. It made a lot of sense, and he went into detail about explaining why if we do for ourselves, whether that's self-care, personal development, mindset, subconscious training, just awareness of who we are and what we want to be and do, we have so much more available for the significant other, spouse. And a lot of the women in the room were dealing with some issues with that of, well, but my kids are more important than me, and I have to put them first because they're my children. Then my husband, and then if there's any energy or room left for me, I'll take care of myself. But I really won't, because I'll take care of my mother and my best friend and my cat. And so then she ends up sixth on the list. And men do the same thing. Men put their work first, and then they put their wives or kids first, or their own parents or something. So he illustrated clearly it's about you, then your spouse, then your kids. So using that order of operations, I have so much more energy left for my wife and kids when I make sure I'm 100%. I'm performing at a peak level in all the areas of my life that I'm passionate about. So tell us how couples can get back on the track, because I know a lot of people listening are in a survive life right now, and we want to bring them back to, or introduce them to, a thrive lifestyle.
Yeah, I think that one really crucial technique and tool that you could apply in your life today is constant real-time check-ins. Because instead of letting anything fester or sit and think of like, oh, I got this idea, I think I want to play drums, and you don't say it because you think that it's going to get shut down because of the expense or the noise or whatever, and you don't say it, and every time you see a rock band on TV, you just have this itching to play drums, it eats you alive.
And then you build in your own weird resentment for no reason, too.
Right, and you're telling your own story. You could have gotten a yes right off the bat, right off the gate, but we love to self-defeat so much, and because everything is we constantly reinvent other people, right? And so when we look at our spouse, there's many times that we might be telling a story of who they are and what they think, instead of seeing the real them. And so with constant real-time check-in, it's like, hey, I got this idea, and I'm going to get it out now. I'm going to talk to you about this idea. Maybe today isn't the time to go buy that drum set, but I want to put this out on the table and say that I have an interest here, and plant that seed, and see where it goes.
Yeah, and then to piggyback on that, I would say the second step then would be on the spouse's side to be in constant support. I mean, he could bring the most craziest thing to the table, and I'd be like, okay, yeah, like totally. I mean, this is a limitless universe, right? There are no limits. So sure, I don't know how necessarily. Maybe I don't even fully understand what it is you're presenting, but I 100% believe in you and your vision, and so let's make it become a reality together. It'll be easier if we both get on board.
It sounds like there's a degree of either flexibility, open-mindedness, willingness to let go of our old shit and just say, I'm with another person now. Maybe I should explore the gifts in this other person instead of, why this is going to be a hassle or some new thing introduced. And listen, nowhere does that happen more than with sex. And a conversation around sex, right? Somebody wants to do something, somebody's like, there is no way, So we have to be more open-minded with each other and our partners so that we can give them that space to say, I feel like playing the drums.
Well, and I think that where the resistance comes up often is usually fear-based. Yes. And so then and definitely we've both brought things to the table where then we were the opposite was like, oh, I don't know. And so it's how do you support your partner through their fears, to bring this thing that you really feel passionate about to life. Yeah. Supporting your beloved through their fears. I mean, fear and doubt, again, they're around every corner creeping in, trying to throw you off your path.
Yeah, doubt. That's a big one. I had a conversation about doubt today. A new writer who is... She's wanting to write more, and so she got her first article published, and she met with a little success. So she was already having doubts, like to go to the next step. And I was like, listen, doubts exist. They're there every day. They don't go away. There's resistance. All you do is work right in the face of it. Don't worry about it. You're going to get used to it. So.
Yeah.
All right. So do you guys want to jump into a little bit? I know that there's a name change since we got together last, and it's very controversial. Obviously, certainly when a man changes his name. So you went from Daniel Martin to Daniel Alcyone, and Rachel, you did too. You went from Rachel Cargill Martin to Rachel Alcyone.
Well, I was Rachel Cargill, but then I kind of wanted to try on the conventional thing, and yet so much of my business persona was associated with Rachel Cargill. I'd been an entrepreneur for 10 years as Rachel Cargill. So I started, the way that I kind of tried it on was Rachel Cargill Martin, and I thought, okay, maybe I'll do this, and then eventually I'll shift into Martin. But it never quite felt right, and there were these little messages all along the way that said that's actually not the right path for both of you.
Right, like little...
Like I tried to change my website to Rachel Martin, and that was already taken. And they weren't gonna. Anyway, it's all kinds of little things that were like, no, that you're not Rachel Martin. I had the numerology done on all the different name configurations, and it just wasn't in alignment with who I want to be.
Yeah.
Who I am.
And it's so interesting because the traditional concept is usually, most of the time, the woman will change her last name and change her familial identity to meet that of the man.
Yep.
And that kind of didn't really sit entirely well with us. It actually has its roots in like property ownership.
It's
And that's what
pretty
that was all
archaic.
about. It's a very archaic idea. And it was about, lineage and having a clear train to pass things down to the sons, and then the daughters, because their name changed, they don't get the inheritance.
And because they're women.
Yeah.
So it was also in a way perpetuating this what's the word?
No, it's like the patriarchy.
Patriarchal system.
Yeah.
So that didn't sit well with me in the first place, and then there's this awesome power to our own identity and what people call us and what we identify as. I went by Dan for many years, and then all of a sudden that started just not working right. That wasn't my full birthright, So changed to the Daniel, and all of a sudden that has a whole different connotation to it. It has a whole different sound to it.
Yeah.
And with the Martin, I started looking at my own. We kind of jokingly talked about maybe we should pick a new name together, kind of half joking about it. And she tried on the hyphenated thing for about a year, and then it didn't sit right. And I started doing a little more self-reflection on my name and my family name. And without getting all into that story, it's like I don't feel a strong familial connection personally, and the name didn't even go back that far. There was an adoption. One of my paternal grandfather was adopted, so that wasn't even. It doesn't have a lineage. It doesn't have a long-standing history. So we said, okay, great. What would this look like to actually choose a new name? Because we're free. We can choose anything we want. And we started looking into it. And
well, I want to also talk real quick about the catalyst for it too. Before, when we were talking, before we started, the recording, you had mentioned conscious conception, and that's really what we're actively moving into. And so we had been together for about a year and a half, and then when we started thinking about, well, we've been together for this long, and we'd like to start bringing children into the world. And I would have been fine not ever getting married or ever changing my name, and seeing these really fabulous, strong individuals that really love each other. But we started thinking about children, and it was like, oh no, like the babies that want to be birthed through us, they really want us to have that like sanctity, and have there be more holiness and sacredness woven into it. And so that's when we decided to have a wedding ceremony. And then that was when we started playing around with what's our name going to be.
Right.
And then so it was from there that then we sat on it even longer. And now we're really in this place of actively calling in children, like we said. And so yeah, we wanted to then pick a name that was synonymous with everything that was high vibrational. So everything that was love,
peace,
beauty,
abundance,
faith, prosperity, all of the goodness.
Yeah.
We're creating a name. We want it to be that.
Well, what's so ironic about this is that we toil over the first names of children.
Right.
We spend hours and years, and there's battles, and these it's like a cage match going on between families, and her side, his side, and if God help the ethnicity, it's this rule because this grandfather died second, and then this one, and so we spend so much effort and time and money, and we really give a lot of thought to the first name of a child. But here you guys are now opening up this door to, wow, what if we were to be able to choose not only that, but our last name and our new heritage going forward. So I want to hear.
You can pretty much do whatever you want.
Yeah. But I don't think anybody knows about that. They don't know. This is not well-known permission. This is something that's either taboo, forbidden. God help us if we, we talked a little bit about religion before the call. Could you imagine,
right.
what resistance, people are going to meet with? I actually have a young couple who he took her name when they got married last year, and they just had a baby, and beautiful story. It's one of my Good Men Project articles, and you can learn more about that courage that it took for him to do that, because that was beautiful in itself. And her dad had passed, and he wanted to take her family name in his honor, and beautiful story. So again, another story of a man who was courageous enough, and a woman, because as a little girl she grew up, I'm going to take my husband's name, and she ended up keeping her own name, and it's a beautiful story. So I encourage everyone, we'll put a link in the notes to that. But So
And
continue.
that was something that even came up for us too, as we talked about how I grew up as a little girl. Kind of, little girls are trained to know, like, you're just going to change your name one day. Yeah. So I honor my lineage. I have my grandmother's middle name. Her first name is my middle name. And so, I really hold my lineage dear, but there was also this sort of attachment to the name, because I knew that I would ultimately change it, or at least that's what I was programmed.
Yeah.
And you felt the opposite, right?
Well, yeah. Well, it was a pretty disorienting thing to really start thinking about, whoa, changing my name. I think it had a bigger effect on me than her, because like she said, she grew up just thinking that one day I'm going to change my last name. We're going to have a different name. So I love how, Rick, you brought up this choosing of our children's heritage.
Yeah.
And that's like a really big deal, because actually when we look at what do we want our tribe to look like, our sacred tribe, our family tribe, we get to decide. We get to choose what it is. And so that was like a really just completely empowering idea. And so we start kicking around these names. We start just looking for ideas, synonymous names for all these beautiful qualities that we want to call in.
It was a very synchronistic experience. There were a lot of, it had the hand of the divine really in it a lot. So it was quite exciting. And a few days prior, I had found this list of 100. It just came up like in my feed or somewhere on Pinterest. The 100 most beautiful words in the English language. And I'm scrolling down, and halcyon is one of the 100 most beautiful words, which is synonymous with serenity and peace and prosperity. Like the halcyon days. It's like the good old days, right? And
well, these words have like a poetic and a musical kind of sound to them too. When you say the word, it evokes a lot of different senses and emotions, and it feels like that. It feels bigger and just, more powerful and more meaningful.
Oh, it gets bigger still.
It gets bigger. So it happens to be a full moon. We're into the moon changes and whatnot, and so we're in that really amped up power of the full moon, and I'm like, well, halcyons are really beautiful.
And I'm like, oh.
We're sitting across from each other at the table. We both have our laptops, and so we go on this full-on research rampage till about 2 a.m., following the trail, the breadcrumb trail, going deep into the rabbit hole.
Yep.
So, the halcyon is the species or the order family of the kingfisher birds. The kingfisher birds, and then we find this other link that leads us all into the story of Alcyone, which was a Greek goddess. And the Greek goddess Alcyone and her partner Sex, pretty awesome name, Ceyx, they were madly in love, and they were the epitome of lovers. So much so that they would even joke amongst themselves, we're such great lovers, we're even more in love than Hera and Zeus. Mm-hmm. Well, Zeus catches ear of this, and he gets jealous.
So blasphemous.
And as Sex heads out to a man quest in the ocean, because they always got to go on man quests, his boat gets sunk and he dies. He drowns. His body washes ashore. Alcyone, his partner, finds the body.
She's so riddled with grief that she flings herself into the ocean, where then the gods are like, oh wow, they were really true lovers.
And so all of a sudden Hera gets upset and scolds Zeus and says, well, look at this. We actually ruined humanity's hope for true love. We ruined their example of true love.
And so they turned them into kingfishers to live out their love for all eternity.
Wow.
And so and so there's all this water tie-in. We live on our boat, and and they mate. Actually, the kingfishers mate at the solstice, winter solstice. His birthday. And so there's all these. There's the halcyon color, which is this beautiful blue. It's my favorite color. And then all this god and goddess lore.
And then if that wasn't so romantic, it's beautiful.
It is, and then it gets better.
If that isn't enough, we're all familiar with the Subaru logo, the logo of the Subaru cars. It has the stars on it.
Yeah.
So that represents the constellation, the Pleiades, the seven sisters in the Pleiades. And the largest star in the Subaru logo is Alcyone. This is the sun to our sun. So our entire solar system is actually revolving around this one star in such a massive cycle that most don't even know about it.
Yeah.
And so it just, because then we were playing around with spelling. Well, like maybe we dropped the H and it's just Alcyone, and we were playing around with pronunciation, and so we're just getting so fed and so excited, and yeah. And then some civilizations believe that it's through this hole in the Pleiades that humanity was birthed.
Wow.
This is like the tear in the cosmos where humans came from, and so we're like, oh my gosh, it was Christmas Eve, and we're thinking like, oh my gosh, is this our name? I think this is our name. So we decided to sleep on it, and woke up,
now it's legal.
And now it's legal.
So, and then one more final key to this component that was really cool and really empowering and a little more practical and less spacey cosmic sense is, as I'm establishing in my business and becoming more of an authority figure in spirituality and personal empowerment, and developing my practice as an artist, there were 5 million Daniel Martins. Anywhere I would go into like an auto parts store and they try to look me up at the computer, they're like, well, which one are you? There's 20 Daniel Martins at the computer, right? As far as I know, there is one Daniel Alcyone on the planet. So now you just Google search my name and I'm the thing that comes up instead of getting buried under 5,000 other people. So as a business sense, changing our last name made both of us instantly identifiable and really gave us a brand.
Well, I'm blown away by this story, and I'm sure our audience will be too. And it's, yeah, you're right. But wait, there's more. But wait, there's more. But wait, there's more. And it's a testimonial to why we get those laptops on our laps at night, why we follow those breadcrumbs and rabbit holes. Yes. We never know what it's going to lead us to. I mean, I'm sitting back and I'm listening to you two. On one hand, just doing something as a couple together, which is just fun. Whether you want to play Scrabble or, read a book or talk about that, article you read. What could be more fun than going on a name quest? So as one exercise, I mean, I could see this just being another thing that we can do. We talked about thriving as a couple, supporting each other, being in each other's worlds. What's more exciting than taking a piece of information, running with it together, having no limits, having no expectations, not knowing where it's going to end up, and then arriving at a place where it's possible you may have identified your true essence because like I'm thinking about you guys are special. You're not just two regular people out there. You're special. And so if you think you're special, anyone listening to this, if you think you're special, then go do what Daniel and Rachel have done. Go dig. Go find something out. Go ask questions. Go change something that's either too normal or too regular about you, and go make it special. You have my permission. You have their permission to go do something special. Go on a quest.
Yeah, find your own way.
Risk your life. Anger the gods. Do it because you could be immortal and you could be found and you could really identify your true purpose and passion if you follow your heart.
And the self-identity thing, it does tie into more than just the name. Because whatever we're identified as, people can get stuck in this victim mentality of, say it's like a genetic thing, like, oh, my whole family's obese, my whole family's overweight. And they almost just resign themselves to it. Look, I'm going to be obese and I'm going to have heart disease because they all did.
No way.
And so instead you can say, nope, screw that. Forget that noise. I'm going to write my own destiny and I'm going to create my story. Right now, today, every one of us are writing our autobiography right now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I've met many people that are embarrassed of their family name, either because maybe there's, like, it sounds funny, or there's like a term in it that, like, when they were children, they got teased because of it. And so even into adulthood, they have a lot of shame around the name. It's like, just change it then. Like, why are you feeling stuck with this thing that you're embarrassed to shake someone's hand and say who you are?
It's ironic because we're in a world today where pretty much any pain point you can come up with, we can identify a coach, a program, an online course, an event, some kind of support or help to fix it. But we don't look at these kind of things. We're not looking at our religion and our story and our names and some of the things that could be blocking us from feeling that limitless existence, from really getting permission. You know, I mean, this kind of act, it empowers people around you. It gives others the permission. I mean, I'm big on that. That's what I live for. I want to give other people permission to do the thing that they're thinking of. I hope that I do things that are outside the box enough so others say, well, Rick did it. I'm going to try something like that too. And
Right.
that's why I love your message, because ever since I met both of you individually and then as a couple, I have looked at you as, you know, trailblazers, trendsetters, rebels. You know, you guys are the shit to me, man, because you have no fear, and if you feel any fear, you just use it to go forward anyway. So I love that about you guys, and that's the message. The message is just go take action in your own life. Go create the life you want. All right, so I have a question around this now. So what do the girls think about this, and like how does this impact them and their name going forward?
That's great. So yeah, I have 2 children from a previous marriage,
Yep.
and they still have my last name. They still go by Martin. And at very first, my older daughter, who's 13 now, she was pretty upset by it. The younger one didn't mind that much. But Liberty was pretty upset about it, and she couldn't really say why. She couldn't really express why. But that has actually faded pretty quickly, and now I think they think it's cool.
I think they think it's cool because it also gives them permission. It's cool modeling for them that, like, you can go live whatever life you want, you know? Like you just had this beautiful message that you just said, and so we've showed that to them as well. And we've been really, it's an open conversation. So we said, as anything comes up for you around it, whatever feelings you're having about it are totally okay with us. You know, if it feels exciting, if it feels scary, if it makes you mad or sad, we want to know about it. Let's talk about it. At some point, if you want, you're welcome to have this name too. You're welcome to hyphenate. You're welcome to have, you know, your mother's name.
Yeah.
Do whatever you want to.
Well, you know, I think
Whatever feels good for you.
When you said 13, I knew right there that's like kind of like, because she's at that age where she's trying to get her identity and build her foundation and feeling, you know, and I'm sure she's a very independent, strong, intelligent young lady. But the irony of it too is that her name is Liberty. So
Right.
Who could have a freer name experience than a young lady named Liberty? So we're going to watch and see. We're going to stay tuned and keep up on that, because there's more to come. Obviously, being your kids,
Yeah.
they're going to have, you know, a lot more freedom than just the names, and and we'll see what they do with that. So, you know, it's intriguing to me because not only these two young ladies, but whoever you attract and whoever's lucky enough to come into your life, they're in for quite a ride.
Yeah, we're excited to see what happens too.
Cool. All right, so why don't you tell our audience what you guys are up to next? Give us some websites, give us some events, give us some good stuff so people can find you and learn more. You know, get on this path and get some good information from 2 super people and super experts like you.
Well, the next thing that's coming up is next Monday, so the 14th, we're doing another teleseminar. We just had one last Monday about the 2 things that are blocking you from your sexual power, your true sexual power, and what to do about it. And so it was such a hot topic and really controversial.
We got some great response.
Really great response, and there were a lot of people that wanted to be there that couldn't. And so we're doing it again this Monday, so we'll make sure that your audience gets all those links,
Okay.
so they can get registered for that. And then the next thing is
our big retreat together, which is Essence of Ecstasy at Enchantments Resort in Sedona, Arizona.
Yeah, so you can go to essenceofecstasy.com to find out about that.
And something that I would love to be clear about here too is in our couples retreat, I think some people have a lot of possibly fear or questioning judgment about actually attending a couples retreat because they think that maybe it's somehow admitting that they have a relationship problem or something. But I'm here to tell you that this is for anybody who's in love. If you are interested in amplifying the love and the romance in your life. So whether you are working through some heavy stuff and you need some support in that aspect, or if you're already head over heels for each other and you just want to share in an environment of, building and beneficial energy, it's for you.
Okay.
Yeah, and something that might be even another topic that would be fun to get into is that what I'm noticing is that the feminine, so whether this is same-sex couples or not, and it doesn't matter what age, I'm noticing that the feminine gets really on board for this. They're like, oh yeah, I want a couples retreat. I want to be on vacation with my beloved, learning all this amazing, juicy knowledge that Rachel and Daniel have. And then the masculine's like digging his heels in. And it's so infuriating. So, that's probably a whole nother topic. But yeah, I think that there are a lot of fears that come up, like what are my friends and family going to think?
What's going to come up during the event? What's going to get exposed?
What if I go and we find out we're not meant to be together or whatever? So, we just want everybody to know that it's a safe space.
I can tell you,
we're here for you.
I hear a lot of those things every day, and they're very common. So all of those fears and apprehensions are common, and the only way we can overcome that is by continuing to do the work we do, educate people. Yeah. I think in a funny way, the more we open ourselves up and show behind the curtain in our own lives, the more education and inspiration we're going to be able to give in this area, because I think when people see you, certainly your public persona as a couple, they may think, well, that's elusive. I can't have that because, he's so special and she's so special. And so I could never, I'm not like him, so I'm not going to find a woman like that. Well, I'm not like her. I'm not going to find a man like that. So I think the more
the doubt demons.
Yeah, the more we open up our own life and say, look, this is what's actually going on in our world, and be vulnerable and be present for our audiences, they can say, you know what, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can attract, maybe I can do different things. Maybe I can make a search with my partner about a name change, or even living a different lifestyle. Instead of living in a house, we'll live on a boat, or we'll move to Canada, or name our kid Liberty. So I think that any of the things we do, so, in my case, help men open up and communicate more. It's just that simple. And then when they do that, then we talk about, hey, listen, my life is just like yours. I'm exactly the same as you. I have a wife, I have kids, I have a business. I have the same issues. I have the same health, financial, relationship, and subconscious issues that you have. I just deal with them all day long, and you can too. So I think that the more we expose ourselves, the more people think they can have what we have, and then they'll come to this retreat to get the information and to get this experience, as opposed to, what fear they may have around it. Because listen, every time we go to an event, we have fear. I'm not going to get what I came for. I'm spending money I shouldn't. Am I going to change?
It could never help me.
Yeah.
Right.
I think fear of changing too much is one of the biggest things. It's like, wait, they're promising such transformation here. I'm not ready for that kind of transformation. What if I become someone I don't recognize, and then I don't know how to handle myself because I'm so amazing?
Right, or like I learn all this stuff, and then what happens after? Yeah. So that's what we really want everyone to know, is that there's so much love here for them. There's a lot of support. We both have backgrounds that are tumultuous, and that we are like them, and you can overcome all of that stuff and be in a state of constant bliss in your relationship.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're also each available for individual work and consultation and couples work, leading up to the event and also leading out of the event.
Yeah,
so if you feel that there wouldn't be enough follow through after you would learn all these new tools and techniques, we got your back. We're here to support you and your love.
Cool. That's awesome.
Yeah. So
and then another way that you can find out about us is the Ecstatic Existence podcast. We have a podcast together, and our most recent release is actually pretty much the story of our romance and our love. So if you want to hear the details about that, you can find the Ecstatic Existence podcast on iTunes, Podomatic, or Stitcher. and check that out. Subscribe on iTunes. Don't miss an episode.
Awesome.
They can also find it at your website.
Oh, also on ecstaticexistence.com. That's my website. You can find out. There is a lot of stuff there, man. I'm really happy and excited because in the last, maybe 3 months or so, I really completed my website. First time in my life, I've had one place for all my offerings put together in one area. So you can find out about my art. You can find out about performance. You can find out about acrobatic yoga. You can learn all about different mudras and meditation techniques.
Yep, all your workshops and classes and events.
Yep.
Perfect.
So ecstaticexistence.com. There's a podcast tab. You can find the podcast there.
And then I'm at rachelalcyone.com.
Cool. It sounds like you guys have really, picked it up a notch since the first time you were on the Marriage Boss podcast.
Yeah, constantly.
All right. Well, I'm going to take a lot of responsibility for that.
Good.
I feel like my magic is at work in your life.
It is.
And I'm excited to have you both on, and I love you guys. And we'll put together some show notes. We'll get this episode out right away. And thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Rick. We adore you, and we feel and appreciate all of your support.
Yeah, Rick, thank you for your continual work towards bettering the masculine out there. These guys need it. They really need somebody, and you're a real approachable guy, and you have a great message that I think people can really absorb, and they can do some practical good. So thank you for doing your work.
Yeah.
Good stuff. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Rachel. Talk to you guys soon.